Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Well, doing pretty well. How about you?
What do you call it? I heard that Grimbo was fighting Riddles recently in one of H-Box's tournaments, and I kind of wanted to like briefly see that. It was kind of funny.
Oh, yeah, he actually told me about that. How like he almost had beat Riddles at one of the coin boxes, but then I never saw the actual ending to it. But he kind of described it to me. But yeah, it was crazy that that happened a long time ago. But it's crazy that Hungry Box just did something about it just now.
Oh, like how long ago do you think it was?
I think a good how long ago was it? I want to say a good like m- month and a half back, up maybe two.
Hmm, yeah, that's cool.
All right. Well, how you feeling? Decided to go ahead and learn a little bit more about yourself through Smash here.
Oh yeah, no, dude, definitely. Like one of the issues I think I like have with the game overall at times is like sometimes I'll just like instead of like I'll try to like look for like too many different sources of like knowledge, and I kind of like overwhelm myself with it instead of just like taking one concrete thing that I learned and be like okay and just like sticking it out.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just like keep looking for like more and more information to see if something is just gonna like click. You know what I mean? When I know that that's not how it works.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I'm guilty of this too, especially since I don't really play too much anymore. But even then,
Hmm.
like I'm still guilty of like I'll find something, take a look at it, see if something clicks with it, and then just maybe practice it for a little bit, and then just kind of move on. I think like when I was probably more competing, I think it was definitely the opposite of like I'll find one thing, hunker down on it for, you know, a good amount of time until I felt like I had it, and then move on to something else. Unless there was something I felt that was more important that need to take priority.
Hmm. Yeah, like sometimes I'll just be like, doing my thing. Like I'll just like see like a random like video or guy be like, yo, how to like ledge trapping fundamentals guy. I'm like, oh shit, say less. Let me take a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just has me thinking, oh, what could I be doing to like make my ledge game better? And then like it just goes on and on, that kind of stuff. Like
Right.
it's not like that sporadic, but it's that has happened in the past for sure.
Okay, I got you.
Like like where I'm at right now though, I feel I'm in like a good spot because like I've been like now due to like my scheduling, I could usually go to at least one tournament every week, and
Mm-hmm.
then I generally like get to like play offline and like once or twice a week outside of that too, which is really nice with some of the dudes from the scene.
Yeah, that's good to actually hear because I know some people usually have some difficulty actually getting that opportunity. I know Keegan was telling me how that's definitely something that's been an issue for him since he started since he's been working like a lot more days that don't allow him to actually go to too many events. Mhm.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is like Keegan's a part of like our group or whatever. Like we've been he's been wanting to like go to some offline sessions with us, but like he's just been like really busy and like just recently he said he was feeling kind of sick and he wants to rest up because
Oh,
we're thinking of going to Tri Point on Friday.
oh, okay. Yeah, hopefully he gets better and so that way he'd be able to join you guys out there. I also wish you guys luck when you go to that event.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is. I've never been to like a Chicago tourney before, so I'm expected to kind of get like a good smacking. But it's all for the experience.
Hey, well, I mean, you never know. Maybe something that we discover here today might help you actually, might have actually help you change something a little bit, just enough to maybe, show Chicago, just what NWI can do.
Yeah, dude. Like freaking like we've also been getting like Buff Mac to come out to like play with us. Like it's been a lot of fun playing with him. Like I used to like despise and dread everything Little Mac. I'm like this character doesn't play the game. Like he's just taking advantage of cheese and I'm losing to it. But now that I've like been playing against him more offline and like I hear him talk about the character, I kind of like I have like a better understanding of it and I realize like the decisions he's making are actually like educated and smart.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear there. Well, let's go ahead and hop into this session here and get things started. So what I will do is share my screen here, and I guess I'll ask also. Well, let me. Forgot that you can share system audio. So let me see something real quick. Oh, actually, let me disconnect. Uh, all right, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Let's try to reconnect this real quick. All right. So, are you able to see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And any buffering issues or anything like that? Let me get to the gameplay real quick just to see. Uh, are any buffering issues or?
Nope. Like there's like slight. Okay, it's buffering right now, but
Okay, that's probably just because of the quality, so I'm just going to take it down a little bit.
mm.
All right, how's that?
It's a bit chunky, not gonna lie.
Okay, someone once told me that on Discord, something that will help is if you're also able to. I'll even change the quality again, but if you're able to just exit out of the stream that I have and then exit back in or enter back in. For some reason, that
Oh,
fixes
okay.
it when it's on Discord.
Yeah, I'll try it really quick.
Okay.
Okay, it looks good right now. Oh yeah, it looks good now.
Okay. All right. So, did you want to either start with either talking through your topics real quick, or just wanted to look at the gameplay first?
Um, I think we could kind of like maybe like run through the topics and then try to like find out some points in the gameplay that might be like sort of applicable.
Okay.
So like going into this, like I was even like talking to like Buff Mac before this. I was like, dude, like I not super comfortable fighting Luigi, and I'm like going into this. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna like try to just play like a very like distance game and just try to feel him out with my projectiles, and then you know get a feel for how he likes to approach, and then try to get my neutral wins and advantage there. And game one I do end up taking, but like it was
Hmm.
because he dropped a few like the 0 to deaths and had that, and then as you'll see in the later two games, like he once he starts hitting them, it becomes like very it becomes rough.
Gotcha.
And
Was it Is it?
it was Adam.
Oh no, I was just about to say like for a reason like you feeling uncomfortable about facing Luigi's. Is it just like the zero to deaths that make you very fearful of him?
Yeah, pretty much the 0 to death. I feel like I have to give the character like a lot of respect, and it's just very difficult that if you like make one mistake or like you misjudge something, you could like just lose the stock.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we'll start by just going down the list with the like you said, with the topics here. So we'll start with gathering info, which you said try and figure out the most important things when adapting and best means of gathering info early. And like you said, you feel uncomfortable in option like choosing your options until you have an idea what their habits are, which that makes sense because I mean when you're playing against a completely different person, completely different character, you have no idea what they can actually do. So some people they'll usually resort to like say you play say like there's a PT that's like Tribby for example, Tribby and Keatsta. You play Keatsta's PT and you feel comfortable against his PT, so you play Trippies and like you feel like you kind of understand PT enough that like you won't feel like too scared to try a couple things or feel comfortable with like what you should be using against PT, just adjusting to what it is that Tribby does. Um, so questions that I have for you actually about that.
Okay.
Actually, I just have one in terms of like gathering info. So, how do you imagine gathering info and adapting is kind of done? Like, is there like a step process or flowchart idea that you have in mind?
Do you mean in sort of like an internal monologue, or like how do I, or like in terms of how I'm approaching it?
Yeah, like how you approach it. Like, is there like say, we'll give an example. Like for Luigi, for example, we know that he is. Say Luigi is going to actually dash. Oh, well, I'll actually leave that up for later. But like, what's kind of like your idea of like how you actually gather information? Like, is there certain moves that you use or a certain sequence that you follow in order to try and see what it is that people do?
Sometimes, though I'm not like the best at like doing this consciously. I like using things like throwing out guns, of course, because like some players will like it's like run up and shield. Some players will just like become really aggro because they don't want to get chipped out. Some players will be patient and try to get me to aggress first, expecting them to do an option.
Hmm.
Side B kind of does a similar thing, though probably not as like good as gun. Um, I look for just try kind of like what options they kind of like to go for in neutral, and like generally after a certain point I kind of recognize like if they're trying to be a bit more like in my face and aggressive, or if they're trying to like bait me into doing something, and then I kind of like adjust depending on that. Though like this sounds like very general and vague because it's not like perfectly defined in my head, if I'm being honest.
Well, that's fine. If I have to honestly say, I'd be on the same boat for you about like how you're thinking about gathering info and adapting to people. Because like you said, you use guns to find out what people do. Like some are aggressive, some and like is it like you just shoot? Is it like what happens after you shoot guns if it's just a completely different person? Like, do you just stay in place and just keep shooting guns until they decide to do something, or do you back up afterwards?
It really is just I guess it depends on what they end up doing. So like
Okay,
for
so.
example, let's say
Mhm.
like maybe like side B is a better example for like this example, but like a lot of people with like side B or gun, they might try to like do like some full hop approaches,
Mhm.
and then I would try to like look for like a walling back air in there to like stuff that out, and then it would like condition them to maybe try to like do shield, so that's how I can get like my dash grab game going.
Gotcha. Yeah. Like I like that approach to it, and I'm in agreement with that because kind of how I view like a way of like viewing gathering information is exactly how you actually brought it up. So it's kind of like a two-step process in how you do actually view understanding information. And let's go ahead and just unhighlight everything here. So how I think viewing information and gathering and adapting is that it is first developing your own controlled scenario or watching someone else's, basically. So like we said in this example, you're using guns to find out what it is that people do. And you're finding out some are aggressive, some are defensive, so you act accordingly. So aggressive, use walling bears or nares. And then if they're defensive, you said that you'd probably be more able to like try and look for grabs if they're kind of like staying in place and
Yeah,
everything. Um,
yeah. To add on to that, I kind of
mhm.
also if they like to play passive, like sometimes with dash back, I kind of like to play like I use like a lot of dash attack in my play, and I like to just like challenge the burst range a lot and like keep them on their toes.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's perfectly good to try and mess with people who are just waiting as well. If they're going to give you that time to actually set up, by all means, take up that space. But yeah, going back to like that two-step game plan for it, it's like developing your own controlled scenario. So with guns, you've got a general thing, and the idea with it is focus. Focus is only using like that one dominant option or sequence to cover multiple options and react to what it is that someone's doing. So yeah, we'll just add your example here about using guns, for example, guns with Joker, or another simple one that some people like to actually do if there's someone who like to play aggressive or try to figure out what happens when someone approaches. There's the approach of just dash in, dash back, because you'll see that pretty frequently, like in all levels of play, of like just doing a dash in into dash back and just see like what it is that someone is going to do, because they'll fake that they're going to come in and do an aggressive option, they dash back, and during that dash back they watch, oh, did they take the bait, were they trying to come in and attack me with something, or were they just going to stay in place try to hold shield because they were scared, or were they going to try and jump away or something. Then the next time that you go back in, the second part of the game plan comes in, where you watch what happened in the scenario and you just begin to act immediately on the info, which I call a specific game plan, because you're focusing now on the info you got from before and start making reads and hard punishes. So this plan, when it's more specific, I'd like to say that once you have information on someone, it's definitely best to just try to continue punishing what is happening, assuming they won't adapt for right now. And then the only reason that you wouldn't need to adapt is when they actually show that they can adapt. Because, say for example, someone is actually going to, they just keep getting hit by your dash attacks all the time. And then instead of like mixing it up, because like you said that they're waiting, you just keep dash attacking them, because they're just, if you're not going to mix it up, why bother changing it up? It's always winning you neutral, so there's no reason for you to think about overcomplicate it.
That makes sense.
So the only reason you adapt is that we show. So what was I about to write? So yeah, only reason you adapt is when they show they can adapt themselves, and then yeah, if they don't adapt.
Easy win.
Yeah, it basically is. If they don't adapt, it's just an easy win. You didn't have to, and that's why it's funny that so many people, say that, this character is brain dead and everything because all they have to do is just do this one option. Because, well, it's because it's working on you, and since you're not changing it up, or what you're trying to change up isn't working, they're just going to keep doing it.
Yeah, this is actually like a big point, because I find myself sometimes like this is different for people like I play with a lot, but I'll kind of like go for a mix up expecting them to pick like a different option. So let's say I hit their shield and then they did a rollback. I'm not expecting them to do it a second time. Or like if I got away with it a few times, I'd expect that they wouldn't like fall into the same option again, but then they end up doing it, and it kind of catches me off guard when I go for a different option. Because honestly, they might not even recognize it. It's just their habit, and they're not aware of it.
Gotcha. Is that kind of a thing of, now I'll ask, is that depending on who it is that you play that this happens, or is this just something that you do to everyone, honestly?
Against, not to sound like disrespectful, but like against like players I generally deem as like not as good, I know that they're likely more prone to like falling victim to their habits and like repeating the same option, or like a same like underlying principle behind their options. So I kind of like I would be more like aggressive and just trying to punish that one thing, and I'd just be like, all right, I'm just gonna keep doing this if they're gonna keep doing this. But against like a better player, like they would I kind of give them the benefit of the doubt that they would like think over these scenarios and then come up with a solution to it and mix it up.
Okay, so yeah, you mentioned that. Oh, well, actually, add so into that bottom part. So yeah, you mentioned that you fall into that issue of like not just instead of keep punishing with the same thing, assuming they'll change it based on the player. And I think a lot of people fall into that situation too, of where, oh, it's a good player, so once they get hit by this one thing, they're going to actually adapt quite easily. Or, oh, this is a bad player, so they're not going to be able to adapt to this as easily. When I think when you think about this, it might change like your view of it, in that the person that you are playing is another human. So that means that another human, just like with anything that goes on in life, there could be a bunch of things that could be going on in their brain mentally. Like maybe they are completely prepared in tournament, like they are playing that top, like playing like that expected top player, where like they'll get hit by something. It's like, okay, I realized I messed up, I'll change it immediately. But maybe it's a top player that has some other things on their mind, or they're not too concerned with you beating them out with that option, because they know what you're getting off of it isn't too rewarding or too much to be a concern for them. And then the same thing can be reversed for a bad player, though it's like you said, it might be a little less likely. For them, it's even more crazy because for most lower level players, since they're not sure what it is that they're going to do, they're going to do what they want to do. So if they, for some reason, they want to get you off of them, like if once they regularly get up from the ledge and they're not sure what they need to do, maybe they'll decide to just randomly F smash you or up smash you or something, and you're like at you know, and they just kill you off of that, even though they have never shown that before. And they might even just do it when you're at 0%, and your brain is just thinking, why'd they do that? I'm not going to die from an up smash at this percent.
All the time, dude. Wi-Fi especially.
So that's why you can never. That's why it's okay to understand that if for that last part of like C, the only reason you adapt is when they show that they can adapt, because if they are not showing you at all that they are going to, you know, mix it up, or if what they're trying to mix up isn't even helping them out, like we said before, then it's just completely fine to just keep attacking the same way that you have been attacking, or changing up how it is that you're punishing their same habit if it makes more sense for in terms of like trying to get a kill earlier. Just so it makes it simpler for you, so you can focus mentally on other aspects of their play.
Yeah, that's true. Because if you're expending like your like focus or like mental energy and trying to adapt when it's not necessary, it could kind of like put a bit more strain on you, and you might not know something else kind of relevant to the match. That makes sense. You can kind of just be like, okay, I kind of got this down. So let's kind of like chill and see what else I can notice.
Okay, so it's the habit of making lower. I'm thinking, I don't know how I'd actually want to word this. So yeah, I'm thinking lower players won't as quickly. I'll just put it as this right now. Top players will adapt as quickly, and then I'll just come back and just change that later in the doc. Any questions about like what we talked about so far with gathering info?
No, so far I kind of like what we talked about. That's something I haven't really put much thought to before.
Okay. So I'll also add on to like the topic of like gathering info is that we kind of talked about, you know, you want to just use like that one specific move like that Joker gun, or you want to maybe use just like no, maybe a certain sequence. Like what I was kind of pushed towards, like if you're using Joker gun, is most people when they create a sequence like shield pressure, ledge pressure, they'll do an option and then they'll like, you know, run back and observe. And just like I said with like the dash in, dash back, that's kind of a sequence there. So next question you can think about is, how do you actually make it better? Or like, how do you evaluate if it is a good game plan, basically? So how you would actually think about that is you just have to mentally think through it in like a couple of what I call like some suggestions here that you can look at through it. Like say for instance, the strength of it. Can it lead into kill? What you're doing, will it lead into kill confirms eventually? What's the weaknesses of it? These are like, you know, the counters to your dominant option. And how would you actually, you know, work around those weaknesses? Which when you like try to think of working around the weaknesses, that's actually comes into your specific game plan. Because your specific game plan is normally built around what it is that they try to actually do to beat guns. So what is the common things that you say people try to do to beat out your guns there?
So oftentimes, like, because of course, gun, unless you're like point blank, it's not gonna actually put them in a hit stun. So oftentimes, like some people will try to just like they'll try to read a gun. So like, let's say I'll shoot once, they'll expect me to like do it, like just hit it again, and then they'll read that and then go in and try to like punish me like a dash in, like dash attack or something. Some people will just they'll like a thing that some people do that kind of trips me up sometimes is they'll just take the gun and just like wait for me to get a little antsy, expecting them to hard commit to something. Because like, you know, sometimes I think, oh well, I laid down like 7%, they're gonna probably think, well, I don't want to get chipped out. I need to go pick an option, and then they would know I'd be ready for that, and then they would like whiff punish me, trying to like preemptively punish them. If that makes sense.
So if I understand, you said like if you do like 7% or something like that, you said they're probably predicting that you might come in and
Mm-hmm.
try to do something. Was that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so run dash in. Okay, so them just being patient. Is
Though,
that a
though, if
good?
I'm being honest, it does cover dash in that moves broken if you do like double gun. But yeah, sometimes it does.
Okay.
It can fall victim to that. Though, other weaknesses, I'm not sure off the top of my head, to be honest.
Mm,
There could be something big I'm missing.
oh, that's no problem. A few that I might think of myself too that might, because like you said, the run dash in, guns, if you just keep holding it, should be able to just beat it. But like say like they run, they dash in, and maybe they hold shield, and they have a quick enough option that'll maybe come out before you can shoot your next gun. Um, I'm not sure how likely that is, but I know that's just a strategy lots of people do against projectiles. It's like they'll walk or run in, shield it, and then try to punish out on your recovery. Mm, well, these two are fine for right now. Um, for like weaknesses and like basically how you actually would alleviate it, because this is probably the part, the alleviating like the weaknesses part. This is the part for like your specific game plan where you're able to actually be more creative about like it's basically the part like you were saying before earlier, how you feel uncomfortable in options to have an idea of what their habits are. This is this completely deals with the part that we're talking about alleviating through your specific game plan. So if we know they're going to run dash in and shield, then what would be like the answer then after you start using guns?
So like with your game plan, you can kind of like develop a general idea of what options they're gonna choose based off the weaknesses, because like a player's gonna know, okay, these are my weaknesses, but I already thought about what the counterplay to those weaknesses might be, and I could like already be on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it makes you learning things quicker because like if you know, because yeah, if you know that okay, I'm shooting guns, I know that these are the couple things that they can actually they're basically the things that you're looking out for that they're going to try actually how they're going to try and punish you. Because if you know, let's say for instance, these are the only two options that someone can do: the run dash in, um, like we said, run dash in shield, or they just stay patient. If we know that those are the only two ways that they can beat guns, then all you just have to do is just keep shooting guns until they decide to actually do something. Because if they're being patient, um, because yeah, if you find out that they're going to run, dash in, and shield, maybe you'll fake that you're going to shoot a gun and you'll grab them. Now because you figured out the last time that you shot guns, they ran up shield, they punish you out of shield, so you'll just shoot guns until like you see them dash in, then grab them. Then when you shoot guns, so you notice that like, oh, they're just waiting because they're trying to get out of range of guns. You'll move up a little bit and then you'll start shooting guns for them. And then if you see that they're still being patient at that range, maybe you can run in and you can do whatever you want since they're just waiting.
That's true. Or hell, you can even just take some stage.
Yep. And it goes back to what we said before. Because you already said that yourself too, that if they're just waiting around, like when you're shooting guns earlier, that you're just going to take up space and you're just going to, do whatever it is that you wanted. But still going through it, like, can it safely gather info, which is what we just said here. You shoot guns from like, a good distance, force them to either approach you or just stay still. It's stage pressure that's spammable because you're literally shooting a gun from across stage. Even if it's not going to make them flinch, it's just still chip damage that they have to do something about. And if they just decide to wait, then that's still something that they're doing about it. They've just decided they're not going to do anything. And if it covers multiple options, um, and does it allow you to actually react if like say you just shoot one quick gun and you decide that you want to do something else real quick, based on what it is that they're doing. Um, so after you think through all those things and looking at the criteria, you form a game plan that's just simple, revolves around, a mover sequence, leads into confirms or win conditions, covers lots of options with low risk to gather data, and if it's possible, allows you to react afterwards once you do the option. So we were kind of already making a game plan part here, so I don't think there's really any reason for us to go through it unless maybe after we look at your gameplay, you might want to construct one for a different part of it. So we can just leave this blank for right now.
Yeah, that's cool.
But next, moving on to finding kills from behind. So this one, I did have a few extra questions about it. So, question number one that we have up here. How, because this is based off of what you said before about, you know, you feel especially without Arsene after a bad Arsene stock, you feel like it inevitably runs out, you have like a bad momentum shift. And you feel securing the stocks is really tough and eventually snowballs as a result. So kind of want to know, how do you feel mentally normally when you say you're kind of behind? Like why does it feel like you have like a bad momentum shift?
Because sometimes sometimes especially if I'm in like a set where it's like it's a little bit of like a struggle too. Like I feel like I kind of get like slightly stressed, like, oh man, dude, I'm behind now. Like I don't have Arsene. He's high percent, but I don't know how to close him out. This is gonna be tough. And especially when they start getting in that extra credit damage, so they're like high percent, and I get a fresh stock and they hit me with like a 40% combo or something. I'm like, man, if I don't, I almost feel like if I don't do something, then they're just gonna run away with the game. I kind of have that like pressure in the back of my head sometimes.
Hmm. And that and like it's just from being in that like situation from them like getting that combo basically was what put you like in that kind of like in that mentality.
Oh, yeah, the combo like adds on to it, but just like the pressure of feeling like I have to do something. Like I'm not saying like I like get so like panicky or I'm just gonna like throw out like random smash attacks just hoping they land, but like I definitely recognize like okay, I really need to make something happen here. Like not necessarily urgent, but I kind of just have like a pressure in the back of my head. It's like okay, this is like a really pivotal that I like stop them here without and then make sure they don't run away with the game.
Okay, that that's
And
fair
I'm
to.
not
Mhm.
super, if I'm being honest, I'm not super confident in like my ability to like make a hard comeback. Like even though I literally have Arsene, like
Mm,
the king of running away with games and getting comebacks. Like I feel like sometimes like I just feel like really uncomfortable having to make a comeback, and I just put a lot of pressure on myself,
mm.
and like I think about instead of thinking about like the game, I kind of just like think about like the scenario. Of course, like it's not something that I want to be doing. I want to just be tuned into the game, but sometimes I just get that thought.
Okay. Um, I know this. I'm going to actually ask a follow-up question to this about how you feel like when you're mentally behind here, but and it's going to sound like the same question here, but why why does it have to feel like that when you have time still?
Um, if I had to assess why it's like that, it's because like I kind of know, which is why I like kind of brought it up for this session. I'm kind of unconfident in my ability to seal out stocks at times, and then knowing that information, I'm kind of like, okay, this is gonna be like very difficult, and I kind of put a lot, like I said, I put a lot of pressure on myself to like close it out, and I feel if I don't, like it's just gonna become really difficult to come back from, and I kind of already like and don't view myself as like someone who's like really good at making comebacks. Like whenever I feel most confident is when I have like when I'm
When you're
like
ahead,
have
or
to be like like stomping them, but like if I'm like definitely controlling the pace of the match or I'm
hmm
ahead, I just feel a lot more comfortable.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I think I might have missed it during like the first part of it, but yeah, because like you feel I'm comfortable sealing out the stocks and everything there. So that's why it feels hard on you whenever that you are behind.
Hmm.
So what does it? So I guess basically you can just like get rid of this as well. So if so I guess adding on about like finding it hard to find the kills then as Joker. So I feel like when you do have Arsene, you don't have this issue just because like you get amped up. You've got your best friend back air, for example. You've got dash attack. Just a plethora of things just because of the gift that your bouncer gives you. Um,
Hmm.
so what parts about either Arsene Joker that you find that is actually like hard to kill with like using the right moves or like the right scenarios?
So generally speaking, how I think you like would get kills with base Joker is you would look for you generally get them to pretty high percent because like back air at ledge, if you don't have rage, won't start killing till like at least like 150 if
Hmm.
if it's like fresh. And oftentimes like when I'm ledge trapping, I like to incorporate a lot of back air, so it could get stale after like a few interactions.
Hmm.
Edge guards, of course, so like admittedly, I think my edge guarding game like is a little weak, especially against like a few of the better recoveries. I kind of a lot of times I just prefer to like, okay, so I could go for an edge guard here, or I can just maybe go for like a light down gun, get some percent, and then play for the ledge. Um, like you can get some like smash attack reads, but admittedly, I'm not like you don't see me really like throw F smash too much. I kind of just like down smash because it's coverage at times. Of course, fair one is the big one. You could pick up on like a spot dodge or a roll and then get like a decent confirm there, or just like a raw drag down up air into an up
Hmm.
smash or down smash. Though like though those are like options, they're kind of it's kind of I feel it's like a best case scenario sort of thing. When in reality, like if you're trying to like win neutral or just like push your advantage normally in the corner, you're gonna want to just go for things like back air and like nair and just throws off stage to kind of like rack up percent, and then you eventually close with the stock. That's how I like to view it.
Hmm.
But like getting the kill confirms does feel really nice if you get a kill a bit early, but it's just something that's not super reliable all the time. Even like knowing kind of what to look for with them.
Okay. Uh, so I think you said down smash attack leads, edge guarding, fair one, and there was one other one that I was missing that I know then didn't hear from you. Oh,
Oh,
that you did say,
just
but what was
oh
that
yeah,
one?
just of back air eventually killing them at
Oh,
ledge.
back air. Yep, air eventually killing. Hmm. Yeah, when you definitely, like you said, when you definitely look at these are probably the most reliable ones. Are typically edge guarding or getting a fair one confirm, because you never want to really. No one's ever going to ever really give you like like the smash attack reads from things, and like if you do mess up the read, like you're in for a huge punish, and then like you said, back airs eventually killing um, is something as well that you're probably not going to more than likely want to actually rely on if it's not going to kill towards like 150 unless it's closer to the ledge. Mm, Have you I do like the ideas of like edge guarding and using fair one confirms. So I'm wondering, I think more so for the fair one confirms about those. Would you say like maybe the scenarios you're having difficulty trying to actually use them and actually try to actually land them for yourself?
Um, sometimes I feel like maybe like it when when I think I should go for a fair one, it's not oftentimes a natural process. Sometimes like sometimes it's kind of like a mental thing. I'm like, ooh, let me look for fair one here instead of like let me look for a spot dodge. Like that's kind of what's going through my head. I'm just like, I think I should go for fair one here
Mm,
instead of just like making it feel more natural. So like I'll go into like fair one mode where I'm like, all right, I need to kind of like just look for this and try to like fish for it, and then the opponent
gotcha.
might kind of find it a bit obvious.
Okay, so yeah, so I think I'm understanding like once the I guess like what I'm starting to see a little bit is like when it comes to like your Arsenless Joker is that, and it makes sense for like a quite a bit of these options, is that you feel like it's more so you just fishing for these hits, unless you somehow find Joker Arsene Joker back, and in which case like you'll just do like your typical kind of just spam back airs, make them feel scared, and do, and then like just go in for like grabs or things like that.
See, I listed all those options, but if I'm being entirely honest, the one you're pretty much gonna only see me go for is just back air eventually killing.
Okay.
So those are other options, even though like of course like they all have their pros and cons. Generally, like I always just like to go like I've been trying to go off stage a bit more, especially against like bad recoveries here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But like you'll see a lot of me just like being like, all right, let's take the ledge scenario. It's advantage and it's like still it's a lot less committal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Instead of like trying to push it like you're saying there, just be a little bit more safe about it. And there's never an issue
Mhm,
ever issue with that until like you get more comfortable trying to be off stage.
mhm.
I do like that you did bring up that fair one confirms, even if you feel like that you fish for it. I think something that would just help out with you feeling more comfortable using it is just deciding to actually figure out how to more condition your opponent in order to do the things that will allow you to get fair one. Or actually even, I don't want to say fish for it, but substituting it in along with from what we talked about before, your specific game plan. So what I'll give an example
So
of that is oh, go ahead.
oh, I think I was gonna like basically just try to like finish your thought like or what I think you're gonna say basically is that
Yeah, go ahead.
so basically we look at our game plan and then see what kind of like try to like find the find a sequence that causes them to pick certain options to where fair one would be like the optimal or be like a good response to that option, and we kind of set them up for it in a sense.
Yeah, like you would actually, that's precisely it. You'd actually want to actually try and set them up through and this could like through conditioning, and this could happen either like naturally in the sense of I don't have this written down, but I can go ahead and just go into it. But like something to do with like conditioning for being behind. So like conditioning for hits. There's the two ways that you can think of like trying to actually get hits, which is there's more than just these two ways, but there is like positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. But these are like probably the simplest ways that most people actually get it. So like positive reinforcement is basically you are rewarding someone for doing something that you're wanting them to do. So we're doing something to do. So in this example, let's say, going back to your plan about guns. If you're using guns, like say like you're shooting guns and you're trying to look for like a fair one confirmed. Let's say, for example, what before that, what are the ways that you are wanting that that fair one works? Because part of conditioning is also understanding, because you have your tool that you want to actually hit. The second part of like conditioning is setting up the right scenario. So what scenarios do you know that fair one would actually work if someone does something that you can punish?
So generally speaking, it's really good against like defensive options. So
Mm-hmm.
a few things that I look for is like, let's say I would yeah, I don't know if anyone would necessarily go for this. Let's say I just do like a dash in and they're expecting a grab because
Mm-hmm.
from like prior, like let's say I wanted them to like shield and then I would start grabbing them. And let's say they started catching on to that and they would start spot dodging, being like anticipating for the grab. And I would just dash in fair one.
Yep.
Uh, or like let's say I hit their shield with like a nair or something and they do like a backwards roll. Um, Another one that's pretty good is like they just hit like a grounded option that doesn't hit above, so like a F tilt or something or a down tilt.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of look for like those kind of things.
Yep. Because in that situation, you would jump over and then you would do your fair one and then go into the confirmed, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So yeah, let's go into like guns for example. Then like you're shooting guns and something like that, you find out that what they're doing is that they're running in, doing like that run in that we were saying, but instead of actually deciding to run in and stay in shield, they're actually running in and they're rolling behind you or they're spot. Well, we'll say spot dodge. Like for some reason they decided that they want to run in, they want to spot dodge because they think you're going to do an option and they're going to try and attack you out. Um, so instead of like we said before, you can punish that any way that you actually want. Like listing off the things that you're saying before for our sinless Joker, you know that they're going to spot dodge. You can punish them with a smash attack read. Um, you know that they're going to spot dodge. You can go ahead and do back air, or you know they're going to spot dodge. You can try and grab them, but because you're looking at like a certain percent to kill them with a fair one confirmed, you'll more likely want to use your fair one confirm because in this situation when you're trying to kill them, it makes more sense to do this. Or if for some reason your smash attacks aren't going to kill, like it makes sense to do this to get more damage and then go into the smash attack.
Yeah, because at like lower percents, you wouldn't want to like. It's just like a high risk for like not as for not as large of a reward. Whereas you could do something that just is a lot more according to the percent, and then get something that'd be more valuable at that percent. That's less risk associated with it.
Mm-hmm. So how you can think about in that situation that we're just talking about, the situation being that someone runs in, they spot dodge, what is it? They run in and they actually spot dodge. You're wanting them to do some defensive option like this. You can, if it's positive reinforcement, you're going to reward them for doing that. So you're not going to punish that. You're just going to leave that for higher percents until like you can be able to you know, fake that you're going to do a gun, short hop fair, fair one, and then kill them off the confirm. Um, and then negative reinforcement is just punishing them until most people know about this one because they're just going to punish someone until they do a completely different option in hopes that it's going to punish them enough to do the option that you're wanting. So if we go into punishing options until, so if we think about it this way, you're still wanting them to do a defensive option. So say we still wanted to do run in spot dodge, but they go back to what we said before. They're going to run in and shield. You can't punish them with fair one into confirm because it's going to hit their shield and they're going to punish you. So you just start grabbing them, and every single time that you start grabbing them, just like in the specific game plan, you're going to keep grabbing them, keep testing them over and over about this, and then and then until you finally notice that they're going to do something else out of shield. Like it could be that roll that I've mentioned before, but maybe it's that spot dodge that we've always been wanting. Now that you see that, the aha moment comes up, and so you decide that you're going to actually now finally go into your fair one, and that's it. And again, that's if it's at the percent that you can start doing that. And if it's not, you go into the positive reinforcement of just letting them just keep that habit, but still threatening that you could go for the grab until that higher percent. So punishing for a fair one. And then there's I'll add more information to this part, but like yeah, there's definitely more that you can actually look into for like conditioning for hits, and including a video that I can add on to this. Uh, is there questions about that for conditioning?
No, that actually makes a lot of sense, especially like I never really put much thought into like positive reinforcement where it's like I could like notice that you're doing something let them get away with it, so I have that in my back pocket later to like basically cash out on when I need it.
Mm-hmm. That could be something that could really help you in those late games with your Arsenless Joker. Because like you said, he's a character that, without Arsene, it's very difficult for him to kill because he relies on either confirms or, raw either confirms, edge guarding, or raw smash attack reads, basically. But
Hmm.
if you have the information earlier in the game that you can act on, since you've already done like the damage with Arsene, or if you just need to still do a little extra damage, you can start cashing in on that. And hey, maybe you won't kill them if you decide to go for the spare one, but maybe you'll cash out on it because you know it's going to lead to edge guards, and maybe they suck at trying to get back on stage. So you feel just comfortable enough to actually go out and commit to edge guards when you know they actually are bad trying to get back on. Mm, something else I will add on to this part about like trying to find kills when you're behind is just a couple things about mentality when you are behind. So being behind's not the end all be all in like fighting games or anything that you basically do. Especially when you understand like these three things of when you have to try and find a way to shift your mentality to like a positive one or keep it from being going like negative. Because you know most people don't think about it too much, but when they have a negative mindset, they are less likely to accomplish something. If they feel like you're saying before, if you for that bad mentality shift, like you feel like it's just going to keep snowballing, if you keep thinking that's going to snowball, then 100% it's more likely going to snowball because you keep telling yourself it's going to happen. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you kind of need to find a way to keep yourself calm and keep thinking about like try and find some way to change your mindset or into thinking that it can win, or keep it from changing into not thinking that it can win. So do you have something like that for yourself that you like, kind of like a deep breath, maybe like the taunt when you're kind of down to get hype yourself back up, or really try and get a kill or like a combo to make yourself feel more relaxed, or anything kind of like
So
that?
this so I don't think this is ever something I kind of like consciously like thought through before.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had to guess like something that does like get me back into it is if I get lucky and kind of find that kill early, or I were to like kind of regain some sort of advantage.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then kind of like I said, if I get like hit and like take a lot of percent, like I kind of feel like I'm getting like pushed further and further down the hole, you know what I mean? Now I'm not like saying I'm like, like losing my mind or anything, but it's like, oh
Right.
man, dude, this is rough. Like that kind of stuff.
I gotcha. Yeah, that can honestly be hard to actually try and get back from. Like you're saying there. So it's definitely why they kind of suggest something of like those deep, like we're saying here, deep breaths. Maybe you decide to maybe you have like a friend of yours that you hear someone that's cheering with you, getting them hyped up. It's like you're feeling like, okay, someone else believes in me, so like I just believe in myself too. That's why some people, when they're at tournaments, they hear the crowd cheering against him, like it makes them not feel that well. So that's why they part of the reason is why they wear headphones. But like the other part is obviously to listen to the game. But having those headphones help because they don't have to hear if the crowd is obviously one that hates them, they don't have to hear them cheering against them. So it helps them try and stay more positive about like the match.
Yeah, that's actually really true because back in the day with like the old Region Rumble or whatever, like they had like the stream setup or whatever. I was actually really liked playing on stream setup because like it was like a little bit of a smaller like local and stuff, and there was like it's a big like stream setup in the center. So
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes like people who aren't in a game at that moment, they'll like be watching the set,
Yep.
and like sometimes like when people get like really hype if I like hit something good or like or one of my friends like, yo, let's go. It kind of like gives me a lot more energy, and I start getting into the flow state easier because I'm not thinking about like any potential negatives with the game, or even just like overthinking about like my adaptation, and kind of just
Mm-hmm.
letting it ride a bit more.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it sounds like you got sounds like you get a little energy from like the crowd being behind you there, which is a good way of trying to come back from it. And some people, even if they don't have the crowd on their back, they get a little excited from hearing a crowd that's trying to, like, boo against them because they know, oh, okay, so I know I've got crowd that wants to actually see me fail. Time to prove them wrong. Kind of that in spite attitude.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I admire. I don't know if I've been in that situation, but like the people who could do that, that's really cool.
Yeah, and something that you brought up there at the end, like, is good because it goes into like the next point, like focusing only on what you need to be done next to mount your comeback. Is like it's going to be hard to like forgetting that you are behind and focus on just basically what you need to do next to help yourself in the match. This can be the same thing said for like when you have a lead and you feel like you lose lead easily. It's because some people either push the gas, like push off the gas and stuff like that, when they should actually keep the pressure up, but also just focus on what they just need to do next, what was helping them keep the lead. So in reverse, this will help you forget about the fact that you are behind. So because how I think mentality works, like when you are behind, is that you're just thinking about, like you're saying before, that, oh, it's going to snowball, it's going to do things like that, when that's something that's in the future. Or you're either thinking about something that's in the future, or you're thinking about some stuff that's happened in the past earlier in the match, when you should actually be looking for what's happening right now in front of you. Because none of the past or future are going to actually help you with what's happening right now to show the results of what's going to happen in the future. All it's going to do is just influence what's going to happen if you think about them. But if you don't think about them, it's more easy to actually accomplish what you want to happen in the future. So steps to kind of get behind that is just that going back into the game plan, okay, so I need to find a way to find fair one. It's like and you can even admit that, like, oh, okay, so I'm behind, so I just need to focus on getting back to getting the opponent to kill percent and so I can find fair one. And that's as simple as it can be. It's just mentally telling yourself that it's like, okay, this happened, let's move on. And then the last part is like, there's not really a need for you to actually rush comebacks, because lots of people fall in, and I mentioned it before, but like lots of people fall into this trap. In fighting games, if you have time on the clock, you can still make a comeback whenever you feel pressure that you need to actually move the game on quickly. Just depends on like how fast it normally takes for your character to kill regularly with or without cheese. If that makes sense for you.
Yeah,
All right.
I was just caught off guard by the with or without cheese comment.
I mean, it's true. It's fine if if you try to rely on cheese to make a comeback whenever you are down, because that's part of the game. Maybe they aren't sure about like a certain thing that you can go for that only has like one certain one certain what's the word, solution that once you play against the character, it's like, oh, okay, so I just need to do this, and then I won't get caught by this anymore. Because knowledge checks are fine.
Yep, Purdue in a nutshell.
All right. Is that something that happened to you at Purdue, or?
Oh no, like not off the top of my head, it's just like I know I know like Purdue gets like a bad rep because they all like play like the weird zoners and stuff.
Oh,
I'm like, dude, how was I supposed to know that? Nobody plays this character.
yeah. I was supposed to say, yeah, Purdue's a good matchup, like, because it gets a lot of people from around the state that do come there, and then plus also, it's a pretty popular weekly with students, so you get a vast variety of different characters there.
Yeah, I have been to Purdue a few times and it was pretty fun.
All right. So the next two things, well, the topic on like making the most out of practice, we could probably speak about that just a little further down. I think want to probably try and get into some of your gameplay here and kind of look into what we were talking about before about gathering info and finding kills. So
Mhm.
what we'll do, as well as like how I think like of your play style whenever you are playing, because I know that's something that you wanted my opinion on.
Yeah, like admittedly, that's like a thing that you kind of don't want to like look for that validation. I'm not even really looking for like validation. It's just like I've because like I used to play like a lot of Falcon or whatever. Then the reason why I picked up Joker was simply that I was in a patch where I was kind of like I was a little bit lost with the game and I wasn't really sure what I should be doing. So I was
Hmm.
like, I like playing Joker. Joker's fun, and I feel like he just has a lot more going on with the game, and it kind of caused me to start like thinking about things I didn't think about before.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that he's like way better of a character than Falcon is, like I haven't been getting as much results with him, and I think that's completely fine because I'm slowly like after getting more like bracket experience with him, I'm starting to like it's starting to all come together a bit more, and it's been really satisfying to go through.
Mm. Yeah, they are definitely on different I don't want to say aspects, but like they're on different kind of like different planes in the sense of like how their play styles and things work. So it's
Yeah, it's
definitely
like
understandable how like it'll take a little bit of time to get comfortable with Joker.
like he still has like things that I like in Falcon. I like good like movement speed, airspeed, like combo game, like big punishes, like that kind of stuff was what I kind of look for in a character. And
Hmm.
like there is some applicable, but then it's like, oh, I have two projectiles. What do I do with these? Like,
Yeah, like
and there's just a lot of layers to it.
yeah, like they're good tools. It's just like you try and figure out, it's like, okay, so when should I use these?
Mhm. And yeah, just playing Jokers is kind of like opened my eyes up to a bit more aspects of the game that I wasn't really paying as much attention to before, and this has been a lot of fun. Though
Mm,
I haven't, I still keep Falcon fresh on the side sometimes, but
yeah.
like I've been really getting a lot of mileage out of Joker. But anyways, let's get into this.
Okay. So yeah, so we'll just kind of like take a look at like the first match here and just kind of see things that we just are noticing. So let me scroll back here so I can see like this first interaction and just keep going from here. Mhm. Okay. Okay. Ooh, lucky there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right, so the bouncer's out. Let's see what's going to happen here. Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, so that death right there, like I was kind of caught off guard by how quickly he was able to get another grab out of that.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
just
as you
enough
can see, I'm
percent
getting
just to give you Arsene into the kill.
yeah, like as you can see, like I felt I was getting like kind of I got a lot of lucky breaks this game.
Let's see. Oh, okay. So if I had to say one thing about, well, let me watch just a little bit more before I say this about like your playstyle real quick. Mhm. If I had to say, yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. If I had to say one thing about your playstyle so far, it seems like it's a lot of zoning pressure. And like it's not just like zoning as in like, you're shooting projectiles and things like that. It's a lot of it's a lot of zoning in the point because like I'll scroll back a little bit, but I think the time, not the time, the oh, that was the volume. I thought that it decreased the speed. But like it's a lot of you keeping a certain spacing and you're telling Luigi that you don't want to get in. Um was that something that was that something like you've noticed before yourself? Like doing both projectiles but also like, doing the nairs, doing back airs to stuff, the approaches, things of that nature.
Um, no, probably not to be honest. Like, I noticed that sometimes, like, I've like talked to Power about this before because he's like my main grind partner. Is like, hey, well, like he kind of gave. I wasn't like 100% satisfied with this answer, but it seems like it makes sense now. He's like, hey, what do you think? Just what in general you notice about my play. I play against you all the time. He's like that you like you'll oftentimes like let certain opportunities pass you by because you'll just be you kind of won't be ready for it. And I think I can kind of apply to like I'm just playing this long range game when I think my goal, my strongest option should be capitalizing off choosing those moments to aggress and then getting a lot off out of it instead of just like playing for chip and this little advantage here. Because like I could do all the zoning, but I eventually need to get some more stuff out of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And going into it against Adam here, I was like, oh, Luigi, I don't want him anywhere near me. I'm just gonna chip him out.
Mm-hmm. And that's fine. I like that playstyle against Luigi because I think it works against him. Because if because the times that you are actually getting beaten out often is when you're either not expecting that he's going to actually approach like in a certain way, or that he's going to or like you're not doing anything to stop his approach. Because we'll just like look at like this last bit here, for example, like the dash attack, because you weren't expecting him to run in, and then just a little bit before that, like right here, not expecting him to come like very last second deciding to dash away, but him almost still getting the grab despite you trying to dash away. Because like we said before, if you're not really doing too much, even if it was just for that split second, he took that moment to try and actually get a grab from across stage because you weren't putting any pressure out.
Yeah, so as you might also see, like basically my whole neutral is just trying to get him to want to aggress with my projectiles and then trying to intercept him with Nair because Luigi doesn't have any like disjoints really. So just like that walling rising Nair is just something I feel like he'd have a hard time dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's just a simple game plan that you can do, especially to a character that wants to approach. Because why would you want to approach a character that also wants to approach you and they get more off of it?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, you said that you do win this match, so let's just go ahead and go into game two here. Um, and just kind of like see like what are the like kind of like where it really falls apart basically. So let's see here. So there's that. Hmm. So he's kind of got in, but why did he get in there is the question. So this the double jump guns that like you do here, was it just kind of like was that a way just like to try and find your way back to the ground?
Can we rewind actually? me see if I could try to rationalize it.
Yeah,
Like,
because you had like you dash back, basically here.
yeah, honestly, I don't know what I was going for there. I couldn't tell you because all I did was effectively do is just corner myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which that is if you think of like Smash as like a like fighting games that's like a rock paper scissors, the three and I think I told you this before, but like oftentimes the three biggest ways of like beating some of like thinking of fighting games is that there's aggression, forward movement, which beats someone who is trying to whiff punish or just wait because they never know how you're going to actually approach. If you mix up how you approach or you just take up space and corner them, which that's kind of like what I'm imagining that's probably what's going to happen a lot in this set. It's just that you're kind of cornering yourself and maybe not taking too much advantage of like what you're doing before game one of like zoning and putting more pressure on him, because that's how you
Mhm.
beat forward movement is you just preemptively put out an attack and then the whip punishes come in because you're whip punishing something that's predictable. um so let's see. So yeah, so right now we're fighting in the corner. He's kind of letting you out and then you're back in the corner, but mm, so what was the dash back? Oh, okay, because like you had him on stat, so you thought you could have actually killed him there. Mm. Also, feel free. Also, like if there's things that like I'm not maybe commenting on right now, like if you want something maybe talk about real quick while we're watching, just pointing out.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, I think I noticed a lot that Adam's starting to like notice I'm doing a lot of dash back, so he's trying to just like he's noticing that, so he's just trying to take more space and call me
Mm-hmm.
out with dash attack as well sometimes.
Yeah, because it might be yeah. Oh, okay.
Like right there.
So what was the change from because the big notice that I'm noticing from the game one to game two is that it seems like yeah you are trying to focus more on like that dash back and try to whiff punish things. What changed from deciding to like keep up that game plan of like doing doing preemptive attacks?
So I noticed at some points during the first set, Adam would kind of like call like do a preemptive like I think forward air to kind of like stuff out my jump, which I would like do to set up like a nair. I did eventually find the nairs were hitting at a certain point, but then I noticed he would kind of just like I wouldn't always just like constantly be doing the nair, so he'd find openings to just run in and take that space, and then he'd try to beat out the nair when I once I start getting cornered, and then this game I was probably thinking like, okay, so if he's gonna run in and take space, I can just kind of dash back a bit forward to see to just kind of try to whiff punish harder and then try to like catch him like going for an overshoot maybe, and then also just try checking him a few times with dash attack if he's gonna be like running forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think is happening based off of what I'm looking at.
Okay. Mm. Yeah, the dash attack part I definitely like, but I think and I don't think like it's a bad idea of like trying to do the whip punishing like you're saying, because another part of like that triangle that I told you about that um because it's funny when I think about it this way of like calling it a rock paper scissors, because you know how like when you play against your friends sometimes there will be like there's a typical rock paper scissors and then someone will say like you know a really random fourth option. Like I think the fourth option for my friends is back when I was in elementary school, it's like there's rock paper scissors and then my friend would like just hold up like I don't know what they would do, but like they would just hold up two fist. And like I asked them like what's that? It's like two fist means Chuck Norris. So rock paper scissors Chuck Norris. So the Chuck Norris in a sense is time. Because if you know, because I think the reason that like maybe you thought about maybe trying to whiff punish his approaches is because maybe it was a certain approach or a certain timing to an approach that you saw every time. So you thought like maybe you can just decide to just whip punish it that same way every single time. But um with run it with moving forward again, it's still just so unpredictable like if they're going to decide to just keep doing that same option because they can because even if they do decide to do it, maybe they decide to go even a little further in than last time, or they accidentally do it a little further in or a little shorter or something like that, and you slightly mess up your punish when you could easily had stopped them before they even got the chance to try and rush in like you were doing in game one. Um, with the dash attacks, I do like you said, that might be a better add, like a nice add-on as well, to try and stop things. But yeah, I think you hit it on the nail, like him trying to actually stop you from doing your jump ins with fairs and things like that. So yeah, roll back. So yeah, now you're watching. See, like there.
Yeah,
You,
he started to figure it out.
So yeah, cornered. Thought you were gonna roll in, so you got that. So yeah, if I had to describe your game plan, that's what I kind of think is that it is that primarily. Oof, no kill sparks or anything either. That's crazy. So if I had to say, it's like it really is just kind of, it's a mixture of like game one it was a lot of zoning. This game two it is more so with punishing than it is like zoning, putting out preemptive attacks. And both work fine against Luigi normally, but like I think the zoning probably just worked a little better, mainly because of the fact that what is it? That's all Luigi's going to do is he's going to basically approach you, and he's just going to try and mix up how he's going to approach more often. So it wouldn't make much sense to kind of like whiff punish a in my mind it just doesn't make too much sense to try and whiff punish Luigi if he's just going to always keep approaching. Okay. Oh, next stock. Okay.
Yep, yep.
Okay. Well, we gotta scoot back a little bit because I want to know why you got in the corner here. Oh, you put yourself there.
Yeah, committed too hard to the dash grab.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. I think it's time, like with that nair that you just did, trying to return back into like, pressuring. Yeah, there you go. Into putting more pressure into like, pushing him back out. There we go. Ooh, okay. Ah,
Yeah, then we roll into the to grab there.
it's strange too, because you never really done too much rolls so far from what I had saw on the stat. All right, so from what we talked about before, now that it's our Sinless Joker, thinking about this percent and everything, in your mind right now, what is probably something that, well, I guess, what are you probably thinking about right now? Like if you're saying like it was you playing the set right now versus what you should be thinking about actually now.
Ooh, so I'm thinking, okay, so I probably need to get. I got Arsene close to Arsene here. So if I could close up the stock here, I could have an early Arsene up in the next stock and try to get some control of the game back. So right now I'm full stage. I'm just like admittedly like a bit desperate. I'm like, okay, so he's up 3 stocks to my one.
Mm-hmm.
He's at high percent, but not enough to kill unless I go for like a big punish here. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna try to zone a little bit more, just like try to figure something out. But like at that point, I don't think that's the play. I feel like you have to try to make something more happen. So I should maybe shifted into looking for like a fair one, or just trying to have a call out at ledge based off of maybe some information I've seen earlier in the set, or maybe an edge guard. Like sometimes when I'm behind and I feel like I need to make something happen, that's when I start to bust out edge guards a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with you there. And you don't even have to like extremely push it because look at the time right now.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's a bad situation definitely, but like it's only been I think our time is 7 minutes, so it's literally only been like a minute and a half. So there's plenty of time to play around, especially since if you get the stock like in the next 30 seconds or something like that. And like you said, you have Arsene. That's going to be another easy stock right there too. Um, so when you take like those elements, like stop for a moment, especially because this is something I like to do also. Whenever I want to think about something, um, when I was competing, is just stick on the Halo platform because I think a lot of people like to if you want to think about something and like just mentally recollect yourself, just stay on the Halo platform for those 5 because it only keeps you for 5 seconds. Stay on there, look around and see like what's happening in the game right now, like what's their percent end or how many stocks they have, how much time it is. Think about what's the next thing you can do. Mentally collect yourself and just think, okay, I can do this, and then get off of the platform and then just stay in center stage because by the time you get back to the ground, your invincibility is going to wear out. But since you're going to be landing in center stage, they're just going to run away from you, and you got center stage for free, even though you can't really like chase them after. But at least you've also got center stage now to work with your comeback there.
Yeah, like a lot of thing you'll see with like top players, if they're in like a tense situation on their last stock, you'll see them stay on the platform for a bit and wait it out definitely. Or like low key sometimes if I need it, I should probably start implementing this more, to be honest. If let's say we're in this instance right here
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like full screen, I could literally just stand still and do nothing, and then if he doesn't do it, if he just like is just chilling in the corner as well, I could just take that second to like catch my composure, or like to slowly walk up and take stage, do something that's just kind of like not super straining, just gives me a second to think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's perfectly that's best part of like just waiting or doing whiff punishing too, is that when you take that time to mentally collect yourself, especially when you're down, um it will definitely get the game flowing back in your favor when you start collecting yourself. And the other person, when they're in the lead, they'll feel more tempted to, because you're not doing anything, they'll feel more tempted to come over towards you and start doing things because I'll put it in these two ways, because it is the right thing to do. And the second reason is if it's a very smart player, a smart player knows that you're doing this to try and collect information, so they're going to come towards you to put a little pressure on you to not allow you to get that information time. Because they would rather keep putting pressure on you than giving you time to actually think and think of a situation to get yourself out of the rut that you put yourself in, or they
Yeah.
put you in basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, back to gun control.
Well, here's the sleep shop's answer.
I think the thing that I would actually say that would help with your zoning a bit more is instead of, because I understand the reason for why you want to actually do like those run in what is it like doing like those short hop jump in like nairs and things like that is like stop approaches. But I feel like it would be a lot better if you focused stopping approaches in just like two regards. And I'll swap over to something real quick just to show you. Give me just a moment. Where is OBS? There we go. Okay. So
ready to go. I like it.
something that I would say that like would help you out a bit more like with your strategy here is, oh wait, gotta change it to this one. There we go. And where is Luigi? Okay. So, oh, I gotta change that stuff too because I was helping someone else, helping a couple people out on Monday. So let's reset that. I think there's just a button for it. Reset all menus. Yep. Just chill out, Luigi. That didn't reset all the menus, so
He likes that in there.
I guess so. So which buttons were those then? Because that was his mash and neutral. Oh, it's just this button. Okay. So a lot of your neutral when you're actually shooting your guns and everything like that, and when you actually feel like that someone is going to approach and you want to stop them, is that it does feel like it is the, like you're saying, dash attack, and it's jump in theirs. And those are, I think those are completely fine to do, but something else that like maybe you want to actually add in, and if you want to just like stay in the same spot that you're wanting to be in, because like say you have them like more in the corner and things like that, and you don't want to actually say for sure like jump in really like this, when you can just like keep this to actually pressure them or dash attack them in case like you mess up the spacing a little bit, is just decide to use more back airs and then use more F tilts, because you notice how like you have more free control of yourself when you're actually doing back air to actually like threaten space. And then plus also the same thing with F tilt, like you're not really going too far. Like he moves a little bit when he actually does his F tilts, but it's not as much as like obviously when you do a dash attack or when you do a nair. It's just something that I thought would help you like keep yourself a little bit more safer if you're wanting to actually keep yourself in a good position, instead of fully committing in knowing that they are going to actually approach, when they could, like you said before, maybe they might change up how it is that they will actually come in. Because with these counter tools, at least you can, F tilt can maybe stop them before they get into the range, and then even if like they dash in as you're doing back air, maybe you have enough time to drift away and make them think that they got you close enough to grab when you can actually maybe spot dodge after, or you can run away and come back in.
Yeah, and against like Luigi in particular, these are especially good because they're like both big disjoints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true because like, you know, the dash attack and the nairs are nice and all that, but if it doesn't go properly, then I can end up losing my positioning. Whereas with these, it's like a safer, less committal way of like checking it and keeping my position.
Mm-hmm. And they would complement your like I said, your game plan a lot better too for those counter options. Because since they'll actually be a little bit more safer instead of like pushing you fully committing to doing something. Because I think those nairs and like the dash attacks, those might feel a little bit more comfortable if you need to actually more comfortable for like for someone that is waiting versus someone that actually is about to get ready to approach. Besides, maybe if you truly know that they are going to actually approach from the ground and they're going to, whatever their F tilt, their option is going to be F tilt, then maybe dash attack will beat it. Then yeah, I can get behind doing a dash attack instead.
Yeah, because like with Adam, as we know, is that he kind of eventually he would start just like, you know, he would like go forward a bit, expecting like me to like fall back, or he'd try to like cover me with a dash attack. Whereas if I were to do something like an F tilt or a back air, it's I could just stuff it out without trying to intercept it at the right time with like dash attack or nair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. Like I'm sure I probably threw him out here and there, but like definitely not as much as the other two moves. It could have helped a lot to go for things like that.
Let me right now. I'm going to look back through and just see like how you are with either behind or when you That's the hard part is that like I think a lot of times it's very rare to have you be, behind before he actually kills you. In order to actually see like what you're doing in situations where you are behind or like when you don't have arson.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, who's coming in? Okay, because yeah, a lot of what he's doing is just like the run it, like just running in. He'll mix in shield or something like that. So in that situation, that the dash attack or F tilts would definitely help out to stop him from approaching you, because like the F tilts are good. Once he gets close enough into that range where like he's going to try and do the shield, but maybe you might catch him before he shields. And then the dash attacks help get him before he even comes into the range to even think about shielding, or like before he even comes into the range of like being capable to do that option. Cause what I'm trying to say with that is if you're able to start doing those options and start actually making him try to commit to stuff, you'll probably find more opportunities to actually do your fair ones, because I think he's not even giving you opportunities to do giving you really opportunities to actually go for fair one with how he's actually playing, because you can't hit someone that's going to, like we said before, that's going to shield. You can't really hit someone that you can, but it's really, your timing has to be incredible to actually hit someone that's just dashing in on you as well, because like we said, they can change how they're going to come in with fair one into your because I guarantee you if you started messing with him yeah, like there, if you start messing with his approaches in, he's going to start either committing to more things, which then once you see that he's going to start committing to more things, you can start punish them with your nair or fair one. So now let's see if he's going to try and do the dash attack again, and then if he is, that could be what you could be missing with your whiff punish, is just like dashing back and coming immediately back in with the fair one. So let's see if that happens right now. Okay, so now he's just playing a spacing game. And preemptive hit might make him, so now he's jumping around a bit more.
Yeah, that's just like bad trajectory on my part. But we get away with it, get center stage.
It's all good. We're just trying to focus on how his how his approaches are at the moment, because now they've shifted over to like doing jumps and things like that. Oh, see, there we go. He's not doing it too often for you to try and get those dash attacks, but you definitely know that it's something between he's going to run in and he's going to either jump, he's going to run in and he's going to actually shield, or he's going to run in and do dash attack. Which, yeah, once you start to actually put more of those pressure, like those options out, and start making him do more preemptive things before he even gets into that range, that's when you'll actually be able to start really calling out, doing more specific game plan options to actually abuse what he's doing. Since you keep punishing him every time that he comes into that range, he feels like he has to do something even earlier, or even just decide to run in and or well, you can't even run the shield if you're stopping him from doing that. But like do something even incredibly earlier, or maybe even decide to wait himself, and then maybe you might get lucky from him just waiting a while to be able to just try fair one.
Hmm. Yeah, you can actually notice during like the last stock of the last game, I was kind of looking for fair one. At this point, he was already pretty fixated on shield, and then he would just 'cause, it's like
Mm-hmm.
minus on shield, he would just punish me for it, going for it.
Yeah, let's scroll a little bit more ahead here. So yeah, earlier into this last stock here. Yep, that back air. Yep, you're right. Yeah, you're definitely trying to fish for it as much as you can. He's doing a good job playing around it. So yeah, if you... Mm,
Yeah, he even parries it there. I didn't even notice that when watching through. Yeah, like he knew. He knew all about what was going on.
yep, them Luigi mains, they know everything, despite them only wanting to use grab. But it's because they only want to use grab, they know everything.
No, that it sounds like a joke, but that's actually true.
Hmm. So for probably a situation like that then, where if you are really trying to force the fairs, I think this is probably how like maybe joke your Arsenalist Joker should probably act, is that it should definitely try and look for opportunities for fair one to try and get them. But if you can't get those fair one opportunities, like we talked about before, punish what they are giving you until they either start giving you that option or they're just going to settle with you edge guarding them. Because that should probably be the fallback. It's just like just get grabs and then just start pushing them off stage and then just try and tempt for edge guards at that point if they're not going to allow you to actually get confirms on stage.
Yeah,
It,
because
mm-hmm.
yeah, occasionally oh, sorry, I'll let you finish that thought.
No, because what I was going to say is like, because yeah, at that point, if they're not going to let you do the confirms on stage, at the very least, you at least have the typical advantage of like the opponent being off stage while you're on stage, so you can actually threaten and maybe get a stock.
Hmm. Yeah, like my mentality with it has always been like, because I hear a lot of people say like, I guess it was just like ingrained in me is like, oh, just because you're a high percent doesn't mean you have to like go for all your kill options. Just kind of like play how you would normally. When I think the answer for that is like a bit of both. Like you don't have to just like you do want to be aware of what your like good options are to close out the stock, but you don't want to like be so fixated on them to where it's like you become like really one dimensional and predictable.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like I feel like I kind of take that to I kind of go like almost 75% where it's like, yo, I'm just gonna focus on just hitting them as many like non-committal safe ways as possible, even if it doesn't get the kill, because I'm like, eventually they are just gonna die. But then, eventually like they are gonna find a crack in my pressure, and then they could just kill me at 50 while they're chilling at 200, and then I fall behind. So getting those kills is definitely important.
Yeah. But yeah, like you're saying, it's completely fine to just chill, to be able to play a mixture of both of them, just making sure that you don't get too one-dimensional with it, but you still have to put some pressure on them, so that way they won't feel too comfortable inside of their lead and try and find those cheesy kills like we're saying before, or just those honest, kill confirms.
Hmm.
Hmm. So let me look at one other thing for like the bot review real quick. So what happens when you're Austin? How do you get info? So yeah, we kind of spoke already about those, how your playstyle is, and what happens when you kind of have when you don't have R stand. It's basically just somewhat fishing, but at the same time still playing similarly, but not too much. Because yeah, it's definitely still somewhat fishing a little bit, but it's still just kind of going into like still trying to whiff punish and like just zone regularly. We need to just put a little bit more pressure on. So I think we covered all three of those. So the last part before we finish up the session here is just briefly talk about making the most out of practice. So a question that I have for you is, how do you think practice normally goes or should go? Ooh.
Oh,
Like,
we
is there a certain number of days that like you need to actually learn, certain amount of time needed daily, or do you need to actually get better? Is there certain things you have to do to actually get better?
So admittedly, like my amount of like a commitment to like consistency and practice is kind of just sporadic. I kind of just do it like throughout my week. I'll be like, okay, you know, I could go this day. I'll see if I can do a little bit of practice, or I'll be like, okay, so I know friends are free this day and we could get some practice in then. And
Mm-hmm.
usually what I try to do is like I go in with like a goal, sort of something I want to work on. But oftentimes like sticking to that while playing is a little bit difficult. And I think I brought this up to you before, and then you mentioned things like, you know, keeping like a sticky note or like notes handy on your phone. You like look at it like in between sets or stocks. Because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes like with my practice, like I like if it comes to just like playing the game outright, I can get like good practice. But when it comes to like, so it's like for example, like with this session, you gave me like a lot of knowledge, and like of course like when I have to like think it over and try to like apply some of my own answers to it, you know,
Yeah.
like the game plan and whatnot. When it comes to actually like putting that all together and then making that a part of my play, like sometimes actually getting that to be getting that to happen is a little difficult.
Sorry, I had to take a little water there. But I did hear
Oh,
what
you're
you
good.
just said there. So what about doing the for the last part that you said, what about it makes it a little difficult?
So the first thing is just the brain kind of just at times will like shift away from it, and then I'll just get I'll just get like caught up in the match, and then like maybe like halfway through I'll be like, oh wait a second, I was supposed to be, you know, paying attention to this aspect of the game, etc. And this also is especially true of like if I'm like doing like a grind session and playing with friends and stuff, because like it's not just about like, yo, we're just sitting down, we're grinding this game hard. It's like it's also like a social thing too.
Oh, yep.
So, like you could be playing like, and then after like a few like games, like you could start having like a conversation or something, and then both of you could kind of just like tune out of the game. You know what I mean? Unless like you really establish that like, hey, we're gonna like really focus on just thinking only about the game here.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes that's like not the case.
Right, because kind of like that. It's not say like it's peer pressure, but like just like the environment that you're in at the moment. You want to practice, but like at the same time, you don't want to be, quote unquote, you don't want to be either rude and not like talk back or something like that, or at the same time you don't want to look too try hard and when it's practice, which it's kind of funny that like people would say that, because like you're not going to be try hard when you are practicing, but at the same time you are trying to mentally focus during those times too. So and yeah, like you said, this was something that we spoke about before, but I'm not sure if I brought up this part of it about the kind of like my view, or like a view that I found out about for focusing on training. So something that I found out that I've started doing that I feel helps out tremendously, to add on to what I gave you before we had this session, was to look at it as like doing deliberately focusing training, like I mentioned, on a skill or improvement, but you're doing it constantly for like 21 days to 1 month using a technique called the Pomodoro technique, if you've heard of it.
Oh, I'm not familiar. This is interesting.
Okay, well, sit down because we're about to actually venture into the Pomodoro. So it is just a approach of learning through 30-minute segments separated into 2 parts. So the 2 parts, as you're seeing here, is 25 minutes deliberate practice. And it's a theory that's like stated that we only, like you're saying before, you find it hard to actually focus for a very long time, and that's because we only can pay attention for such a long amount of time. Like, I don't want to say, I think like it's the theory that's been pointing out for this before through the Pomodoro, that we only are able to focus really for like 25 minutes usually on average before we tire out. So it's easier to recall information in a 25-minute time period versus cramming for 2 hours. So that's why people say cramming for tests don't work, because you can probably say you'll remember everything because like you obviously went through all the information then, but then when you go into the test, it's not ingrained in your memory because it wasn't done through repetition to keep it there. And then you have the 5 minutes of fun, which gives you a small break for relaxing, stretch, trying maybe a cool combo, just doing something to remind yourself that you're having fun with this. And this could be like a template that you can adjust anyway. Because maybe you are someone that can actually focus for more than 25 minutes, and like you maybe need a little bit longer time based on the topic. So instead of the 25-5, you can go for 50 minutes to 15 minutes, like constantly working on it, 10 minutes of relaxation. And then the reason I brought up the 21 days to 1 month, this is an actual, I believe, proven theory that like that's just enough time to break old habits or form new ones. Because when you're learning something, you're wanting to basically move it from your deliberate thought, which is, like we said before, the thinking that you do in game for new information, into your muscle memory, which is your autopilot, your game one, or your, not game one, but like your what was the term for it? But it's like either game one or muscle or memory one or mode one, basically, that you want to move it to, because you don't want old info needing to be in your deliberate brain, because it's going to slow down your thinking mid-match. Just like the example below of like, digging a hole or making a pathway. You spend one day a month working on it, it'll fill up pretty quickly, and with new things, it'll make it hard for you to remember where you started at. But if you spend 21 days to a month on it, each time, the memory of where it's at, plus also how deep or like how strong the path is, will make it harder for things to disappear when you have new knowledge.
Yeah, and this can kind of tie back to before where I said like at the start of the session that like I'd be like, oh, I should work on this, and then before I know it, like I'll know something new about the game that gets me thinking, and then I completely forget about what I was working on before, and I start working on something else, but kind of leaving it incomplete.
Yeah, and that's completely fine to, like I said, do if it's something that you think really should be hunkered down and focused on to start. If you do ever find more things that you want to work on, you can obviously incorporate it into your into like a Pomodoro. So like, let's say for example, and this will be like further down also here, like in training, like in this section for training mode that I'll talk about. Like, say you want to split up, you have 2 or 3 different things that you want to actually work on within 25 minutes. You can split it up where you'll do, like example 2, 5 minutes each for focuses 1 through 3. Then you have a fourth for focus, 10 minutes on that. So that's 5, 10, 15 minutes there. The fourth thing you think is more important than the other one, so you need more time on it, put 10 minutes into that. And then that's your 25. Take a 5-minute break. You complete the Pomodoro. Or maybe you want to go the route of you have one big thing you want to focus on for a long time, like change that third example, do 40 minutes on one focus, 10 minutes on a different focus, and then 10 minutes of relaxation. That's
Yeah,
just,
I think
yep.
this seems like a like something that could be pretty beneficial because like admittedly when I go into like like when I do like schoolwork or like practicing Smash, I never really had like a system for it. I'm just like I'm just gonna go do this. You know what I mean? It's like all right, this is what I want to do. Let's just play, get into it. I feel like maybe having a structure to it would probably also just being aware that there's like a whole process going on would make me more more in tune with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's something that you can obviously flow through, something that's structured that'll help you be able to to help you be able to just keep on top of it. And something to add on with what you're saying about like with like friendlies and things like that, because this part will probably seem familiar. What I said about like giving, basically remembering the goal isn't to win, but practice what you're learning. So like this section, like I would add like some goals that like you can try and focus on, just kind of like their little, like we said, little achievements that you can do before you try and win the match. Um, some things you can try and keep in mind for yourself is that, as a competitor yourself, if you if like you need to play some friendlies against someone else, um, you just kind of maybe need to mentally have a talk with yourself and just understand, or maybe even let them know too, that like, before the session even starts, that like, hey, I'm kind of trying to focus on, some of these things. Like, if you are talking to me and I don't respond, it's not that I'm trying to be rude. I'm just really trying to focus on these things at the moment, to better myself. Because you have to understand, it's cool that you want to, maybe chat back with them and things like that. But if you really are trying to actually aim for like to be a really good competitor and try to, make it to the top of like either like, the PR here in the area, you have to put yourself first in like your training and everything like that. So if that means that you just maybe won't talk back as much, like, mid-match, because you're focusing on something that you're trying to do, just let them know ahead of time and they'll understand. And then if they keep constantly, despite telling them that, they keep constantly getting to the point where like they're trying to just keep constantly talk to you to get, and just ignoring the fact that you told them that, well, that might be someone, even if they're good, you might not want to keep playing with, because they're not respecting the fact that you're trying to focus on these things at this moment and trying to improve.
Yeah, that's true. Like yeah, like it is like difficult though, because like you said, I almost feel like a lot of people like might even respond negatively to that because like I feel just a lot of times the culture with friendlies is just to like relax. You know what I mean? A lot of people like bust out like secondaries and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
like in the past, a few times, especially with like friends or whatever, where I'll be like, "Yo, guys, I'm gonna be like focusing on this." Sometimes like they would be like a little like off put by it.
Right, and I get that too, because some people, they may not have those opportunities to find what is it, to find that many chances to play against other people like that.
Hmm.
So that's why, if it needs to be, get to that point, maybe you can still play with them, obviously, but maybe if you're trying for that really focused play style, try and find more like-minded people that are like you, that maybe they will you know they won't really try to interrupt you too much when you're both playing, because they're trying to focus on their own thing, and they'll also be willing to try and maybe have discussions after matches and things like that. Because I've done, what is it, because that's part of the reason that I don't hate, well, I don't want to say that I hate whenever I'm playing against anyone, but for me, I'm actually someone, like, through college and even to like this day, often, that like I normally don't actually talk through friendlies. Like, if there's something I'm just wanting to actually play, um, I'll usually just be focusing on that. Maybe I'll just give a one word reply or something like that, and I'll just keep going. I know it always either bugs people out, so that's why people don't play again like to play against me too often because of that. But for me, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really bother me too much. And one of the people that I oftentimes normally like playing against, um, back in like when I did compete like in Ultimate because of this, was Dane, because he would. It's not to say that he wouldn't actually say anything himself, but he was just focusing on like his own things too. Rarely, if there was anything that we were just like, specifically wanted to ask each other, we just like, say between a stock or something like that, or say at the end of it, and it was just relaxing, just being able to not have. And I don't want to say people ever actually did that to me, but it was just relaxing to just kind of like have that kind of same someone else just sitting down next to you, not really like are wanting to say some stuff, but at the same time they're also trying to focus on their other things as well too, which
Yeah,
is
like
honestly
I
really
noticed
respectful.
yeah, like I noticed that sometimes like you ever see those like streams that pro players will do where it's like, hey, I got this person invited over, we're gonna play. They often like they'll go like like I was watching like Gluto and Leo play, and like they basically didn't say anything throughout like a 5 game stretch. They'd maybe just like laugh as like if like something like a jank happened and that was it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they
And
do.
how like
Hmm.
even worst case scenario, it's like, not perfect, but Wi-Fi, there's no other person that you can like hear. It's just you and yourself.
Yep, just you with your thoughts and the empty void of input delay.
Unfortunately.
Hmm.
No, I always joke around where it's like, yo, if this game had a playable online, I'd be the best player in the world.
Hey man, I was about to say, and I believe it too, because you've got a good game sense in you. I think it's just a little bit of like hunkering down on like just what it is that you're wanting to actually do with your game is probably just what it was missing like overall, and also understanding like maybe more of like your conditioning aspects for like what you need to actually do. Because it sounds like, from this discussion, a lot of the stuff that we talked about, you already did some thought or you already had some things in mind. It was just maybe just me offering a couple things here and there that just maybe expanded you towards a more specific way of going about things. It's just basically what this session was kind of about.
Yeah, cause like as you can maybe surmise from like how I've like approached like learning the game before, it's like I've like accumulated like a lot of like stuff here and there, but I never really like took it all the way and like fully applied it into something that I like 100% understand.
Mm-hmm.
So like I like a lot of stuff I could recognize a lot of like concepts and stuff that sounds familiar, but like truly having a good grasp of it and like actually putting it into practice with the game is like two different things.
Yeah, because it's different. Because yeah, it takes different mindsets since it's a lot more pressure when you're actually playing in game versus like if you have all the time in the world to just like analyze something. Um, that's exactly why a lot of people say like if you're for people who like coach like oh if you're able to coach so well it's like why aren't you a top player because it's different skill sets. It's honestly the execution plus also like dealing doing all the things that you're supposed to do under pressure is a different skill compared to like understanding if you have all the time in the world how to find things a lot quicker when you do have all the time in the world because you don't want to spend all the time in the world just to try to find out that oh this person's been shielding in a VOD.
Hmm. Exactly. Like it's two different skill sets for sure. Like if also just because I'm curious, if you don't mind me asking, what made you kind of want to like step back from like wanting to compete and put more of a focus into being like a community figure and like helping people out?
um it's basically just personal stuff. That's basically it. It's just more things of like on my side of like personal life that just need to be taken care of a bit more. since I was getting older, so there wasn't too much time to like really be able to sit down and like I don't want to say like still be able to like sit down and play because I still have time to do that, but it's just like more priority was needed to put on other things in my life. So that's why I kind of took a step back. And it
Yeah,
was
no,
also.
that makes perfect sense. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was just going to add on. Like the other part was that I just felt that for me, it wasn't like there was much that else that I really needed to actually prove to like. Even then, like when I competed, I didn't feel like there was anything much I need to actually prove. But I've been on PRs before, like for the state and also for locally in Smash 4. And that was for me in college or like before starting college. That was honestly just good enough for me. And it just seemed like after more time when I actually just spoke to people more about the game and learned more about like how fighting games is similar in general, it got me more into thinking maybe it'd be fun to maybe look into more things and like just see like how I could actually maybe improve like other people's views of like fighting games and stuff in general. That way you just make for a lot more interesting like sets similar to like you would see at the top play, but just like locally.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and yeah, I especially see that with like you're saying like at a certain point, life does have to take priority, and with going out to like all these tournaments and stuff, like going on these long drives and like committing your day just to playing Smash, like if you have like other responsibilities, that's pretty demanding. Like there's been a few points in like my time with the game where I had to like sit back for a bit and just really like have the game take like a back seat while I focus on other stuff. Yeah, that's definitely fair. And it's I'm glad you definitely found like a passion for, still like being able to like, look back at your time as a player and being able to like use that to expand into just learning about like fighting games in general and being able to just like kind of pay it back to the community and help people out with what you've learned.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate you trying out the service as well, and just giving me opportunity to just do more of what it is that I like to actually do. So I definitely appreciate you doing that. I know we did go over, by quite a bit, but it was just such a very nice session that I didn't mind actually doing that. I'm hoping it didn't like put you over for like work or anything like that in the morning. So I don't
Oh,
mind like.
nah, man,
Oh,
you're good on that. But yeah, dude, I really do appreciate like sitting down. Like I feel like I got a lot out of this. Like the big things for me that I feel like I'm really gonna get a lot of mileage out of. Hopefully, is that like I think I've thought about before in the past, like structuring a game plan. Like a few times been like a bit lazy with it. When oftentimes it's like a really big aspect of the game that I honestly like. It's something like I kind of put off doing, and I think it's something that I really can't afford to be putting off for too much longer because if you kind of just go in and do whatever, it's not going to work. And I think Joker in particular, since he has so many different options, like being able to hone it down to a few things for like certain matchups and whatnot is going to be pretty beneficial. Whereas if I'm playing, I don't know off the top of my head, just a really easy character. Let's just troll on Luigi. Oh, my game plan, get grabbed. Like
hmm.
it's not going to be as like one dimensional as that. And what was it, the Commodoro?
Oh yeah, Pomodoro technique.
The Pomodoro. Yeah, I think that could also be pretty interesting. I'm gonna definitely read up on that and try really like sit down and get like better practice because like where I'm at right now, I'm finding like a lot of time, like a little bit of free time where I can just sit down and like playing the game would be pretty relaxing because with like work and stuff, whatever openings I do have, I kind of appreciate it more. And if I like make the most out of that time, like I see like it's working, I'm gonna grow to appreciate it more and just have a better experience.
There you go. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're eager to actually try those things out. I do wish that those definitely do was it that those do actually give you some ideas for what you need to move on next to with your playstyle and everything. Um, so what I'm going to do here, real quick, is I'm actually going to I'll go through document, try to have it cleaned up and finished like probably like by tomorrow night, and then just send it over to you. And then if you have like any questions or anything like that, we can definitely go through it at a time whenever both of us are available and just answer those. All right, but yeah, I'll just go ahead and just go back through, just clean up a couple things and just add some things here and there. So hopefully it'll all be able to be much more clearer than like kind of just like the notes that like I just wrote on and just kind of like, left without like adding too much. Like I'm reading here like, this note about like falling to the habit of thinking lower and top players. Like I remember what it was about, but like it's just like I said before earlier in the thing, I was just going to leave it there till like later since I knew we had more that we had to talk about. All right. Well, any last questions that you have here before we head off, or do you feel like there was some things that I still haven't answered from above here?
Nah, honestly, like I think the session kind of speaks for itself. I'm pretty satisfied with how things went, and of course, like if there is something that I'm not thinking of right now, I'm sure I could always just like DM you, be like, hey, could you elaborate on this like slightly bit more? And I'm sure you'd be cool with that.
Yeah, I definitely would be. So yeah, any questions like that, feel more welcome to just go ahead and just message me about them. I will try and upload this session first thing in the morning for myself. So that way you can probably have this to maybe look over like I want to say probably like around noon time from then on, and then I'll just keep working
Mhm.
on the doc from there.
Okay, yeah, sounds great, man. Really appreciate it.
Yep, not a problem. Thanks again, and I hope you have a good night, man.
All right, you too, bro. Appreciate it. I will see you next Bendix.
Yep, I will catch you later. Have a good night.
All right, take it easy.
Mm-hmm.